Good morning and happy November. And oh gosh, it's Thanksgiving month. So you have to be thinking of all the things you're thankful for and having a nice time with your family moving into the holiday season. And I'm looking forward to it so much. This is block 11. Since it's November, we have one more block, and in January we're going to keep going, so we'll have something to do in January, and we'll have something to do in February, and maybe March, because we still have to make our sashing and cornerstones, set our quilt together, and get it ready for quilting. And since we just have this month and next month left to complete our blocks, I want you to start thinking about what backing you might want to use on your quilt and how you want to set it together. The original diagram that I put up on the group showed this on point, and most of us are making our quilts so that the blocks will be set on point. And so if you do that and you use the border or the sashing and cornerstones that are in the picture, your quilt, you'll need to have a stopping border, which will be about 1 inch, and then I'm going to put about a 6-inch border, outside border, on my quilt. And on point, it's going to end up square, and I figured it out. It's going to be about 77 inches or so square. And if you set your blocks horizontally, 3 to a row, go straight across with them, and you still use a 7-inch outside borders and the sashing and cornerstones, but you position your blocks so that they are horizontal, you're going to end up with a very long twin size quilt, 65 by 80. So be thinking about that. What size batting you're going to need, and how you want to quilt this. If you want to tie quilt it, or if you want to quilt it on your Bernina with edge-to-edge designs, or if you're going to be long arming or maybe sending it out to a long armor, start thinking about all the things that are going to have to happen to get your quilt finished. So this month is an easy block. We're going to revisit a couple of techniques that we have used in the past, and we're going to be making this month is a pinwheel block, like you saw in the beginning of the video, and it looks really complicated, but it is super easy, I promise. So the first thing we're going to do, just like we do every month, is we are going to press our fabrics with Best Press and get them really, really, really good and starched. And then we're going to be doing our cutting, which is super easy, and we'll need to do a little marking again this month. So I am going to go press, and then I'll be right back and we'll do our cutting. I've got my fabric pressed up nice, and now I'm ready to begin cutting. And these two prints are going to be my pinwheels, and this print's going to be my background fabric. So I need 2 5 3/4 and 2 2 7/8 inch pieces of fabric from both of these colors. So I'm going to start by getting a straight edge, and then I'll get my blocks cut out. Ready to start sewing. So let's take, these are our background blocks, so I don't need to do anything to those, but to these two and these two, we have to do a little marking. So I'm going to scoot up here where you can see a little better, and I'll zoom you in just a bit. And so, let's see. The 2 7/8 inch squares only get one corner to corner diagonal mark. Just one. And when we put these together with our yellow blocks, or whatever color your fabric is, we're going to sew a 1/4 inch on both sides of that line. And we're going to chain piece these because it will go nice and smooth and pretty fast. So let's put these guys together, and they go right sides together, and we'll pin them. Let's put a little pin. You don't need too much. Right sides together, and pin. There we go. And on our big squares, we're going to mark both directions. And we'll line them up right sides together with the other squares the same size. I'm going to have to mark this one again. I can't see it. There we go. And this one's the same. And when we get to the sewing machine, we're going to sew a 1/4 inch on both sides of both lines. So there's quite a bit of stitching, which makes it fun. Okay, here we go. So right sides together again. Line them up. Put a couple of pins. And we're ready to start sewing, and these are going to be our pinwheels. And they are going to be so cute. Okay, we're over here at the machine, and since I only have to sew these one time, I think I'll just chain piece these two, and then I'll chain piece the bigger units. So I have my 37D foot, which is a 1/4 inch foot for the Bernina 770 and other Bernina models. And I have my dual feed down. Since I have a D foot on, you always want to be sure and put your dual feed down. And I'm using Orifil 50 weight cotton thread and a 65/9 Oregon needle. So here we go, 2.5 millimeters stitch length, and just gonna take right off here, and I'm just sewing right on the line that we drew, right on the line. And these two smaller blocks, remember, they only have one line on them. Turn them around, and the fun comes on this block. Oh, I am so far off. Nope, I'm okay. The fun comes on this block when we start cutting these apart and assembling our pinwheels. Oh, they're going to be so cute. This is, I mean, November has so many beautiful colors, so do something bright. Okay, so now we're ready to go down this side. There we go. So now let's go ahead and we'll head down one side of one of our bigger blocks. And we'll just chain piece these little puppies, and they will be done. Okay, now we're going to turn these around, and we'll get rid of these two because we're done with them. Trim these little guys. We're done with them. And we'll go ahead and finish sewing this line, and then we have to turn around and sew the other line on our big units here. Okay. All right. Line number 2. When we get back over to my workstation, we're going to cut these big blocks apart in 4 different ways. So I'll show you how to do that. We've done it before. I don't remember what block we did it on, but we have. And we made a whole bunch of half square triangles for, I believe it was the bear paw, maybe, the bear paw block. So we're going to do the same thing we did, and we're going to have a whole bunch of half square triangles just from these 2 units. All There we go. Okay, we're ready to go over and do some cutting and probably some pressing and have some fun with putting these little guys together. Okay, we're ready to cut our little units apart and get our half square triangles. So I'm going to put my ruler right on the line I drew, and I'm cutting right on the line, not on the stitching, just on the line. And when I get ready to press these guys, I'm going to press them toward the darkest piece of fabric. Okay, now we have to do this guy. So we're not going to move this. We're going to just set it still on our mat, and we're not going to move it. This is just like we did before, our previous blocks, one of them. So we're going to cut on the line, and we're going to cut again on the line, and we're going to try not to move our unit. And now we're going to cut. I'm going to square mine up just a little bit. I think mine did move a little. Just a little bit. Now we're going to cut straight across right at the middle, which should be 2 7/8. So I'm going to cut this way, and then I'm going to cut this way. And again, it should be right at 2 7/8. Okay, let's do it again. We have all these guys. Let's do it again. Okay. Right on the line that we drew. Right on the line. And close my cutter because I gotta wiggle around here a little bit. I think I'm gonna move these guys. Okay, right down the middle on the 2 7/8 inch measurement on my ruler. Oh, my ruler moved. Not much. I'm having ruler trouble today. Goodness. Okay. 2 7/8. Right, there we go. All right, now we're going to square all these guys up. All our little half square triangles need to measure 2 1/2 inches square. So this is a good time to square these guys up. I pressed all my seam allowances toward the darker print, and you'll want to do that throughout making this block. So there should be 20 of these, and when you're done, they should, after you've squared them up, they should all be 2 1/2 inches square. And we're ready to put our pinwheels together, our little pinwheels. All my brown print is going to be going to the right. and all my left prints are going to be going to the left. So I'm looking at the point, left, right, okay, and so that way I can get my spin on my pinwheel like that. There we go. Okay, so now left, right. I've got to get started off on the right foot. Left, right, left, right, and left, right. And now all I have to do is fill in the blanks. There we go. And when we get these all laid out the right way, we'll double check. I'll double check and make sure that, oh, I got a fly bothering me, that everything's going the right direction. Why isn't that working? Okay. Should go this way, right? Might have to move it over. There we go. So when we get these all together, laid out, we'll take a good look at them, make sure they're all going the right way. And we will, we're going to put these 5 little pinwheel blocks together just like a 4-patch. So we'll sew 2 and 2 and put them together just like a 4-patch. Okay, now let me see. What have I got wrong? Okay, everybody looks like they're spinning, doing the right thing. So let's put these together, and we can chain piece these too. We might have to match them back up again when we get, let's put them in order here. And I'll have to remember that I started with the upper right. And I'm going around. And I'll make sure I get them right when I get over to the machine. Hold them out, and I'm going to end with my center pinwheel. So I'm going to go now and stitch these all together and press them, and I will be right back. Alright, I've got them all chain pieced together. So now I'm going to just pair them up so that I've got everything in the right spot. And they are a couple. There we go. So now when we put these guys together, we're going to do our little thing that we do so that we can get really pretty points. I'm just going to finger press this for a minute. Actually, I'm going to push it the other way. And I want this to go toward the dark. So there's part of my pinwheel. So now, when I put this part of my pinwheel together, I want the seam to go the other way so that they nest. So it will go toward the dark on this side. And when I put these guys together, the seams will nest just like that. And I can see the point to my little center right here and right here, so that I can put a pin in there, and I'll have a nice little point in the middle of my pinwheel. So there's one. And let's see, we want this to go this way toward the dark. And this one toward the dark. Line them up. Nest your seams. You can really push them good together there. And put a pin right in your point. And there we go. Okay, I'm going to line all these up just like that. And stitch this middle seam. So I've got all my pinwheels pieced. And when I pressed mine so that I could get a really pretty flat seam here in the middle, I pressed mine open so that I had a nice pretty flat seam there. And if you want to, you can press all these seams open and you'll get a really nice flat pinwheel. So now all that's left is to go ahead and stitch our rows and then put our rows together. So I'll go do that, and I'll be back, and our block for the month of November will be all done. Just doing a little finger pressing on my block. Kind of finish it up. I'm going to take it to the iron and get it really nice and flat and pretty. But there is our block 11. Here's what the back looks like. I do kind of wish that I would have pressed all these seams open. I think they would have been a little easier. So you might think about that when you're doing your block. Hopefully you've watched the video first. And you'll need to, when you're putting your rows together, you'll need to kind of watch here that you get your points lined up so that you've got, you kind of want to see a straight line here, but if there isn't one, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Let's see, I've got my, where is my big ruler? So this should measure 12.5 inches square. And I'm off a little bit. I am off just a little bit. Not too bad. Let me zoom you out so you can see a little better. So when I line the ruler up good, I've got about just a little bit here and on this side, but I think it'll be okay. But I do think if I would have pressed my seams open, I said this last month, I don't know why I can't learn from my own mistakes, but I do think if I would have pressed my seams open, it would be perfect. So there is block 11. I hope you have fun making it, and as always, if you have any trouble or questions, just give me a shout or come on the group and you know, ask. There are a lot of wonderful quilters on the groups, and So just come on and ask on the Bernina 7 series or the Bernina Beginners Embroidery 7 and 8 series. Those are the two groups this Sew Along is on, this block of the month. So this is Thanksgiving month, and I want you all to know how thankful I am for each one of you, and just how great I think you all are. I think you're wonderful quilters. I'm so proud of every one of you. And this month, I would like to encourage you to make something, a pot holder, or maybe you knit, and you can knit a pair of mittens or socks for someone, or maybe you want to bake some cookies and do something for somebody else. But within your world, do what you can, make something and give it away. And come on the group and tell me what you've done. Have a great day. Enjoy your quilting. And I'll see you next month for Block 12.